Hey guys, it's Nailbiter, and I've got another World of Tanks video here. And this is actually a replay that a friend of mine had, who goes by the name Boobutt, which might sound familiar. I've posted some videos on my channel before with him involved from both World of Tanks and Battlefield. So it might sound a little familiar, but anyways, this is a round he had on map Karelia with his JgPz E-100, which is a tier 10 German tank destroyer. And we were actually platooning for this round, as you can see there. I'm rushing out in front of him. I'm playing in a Object 140, which is a tier 10 Russian medium tank, so I'm going to be trying to rush the hill on this map. That's a pretty standard thing for mediums to do on this map. Unfortunately, I get taken out about halfway through the game, but Boo has a pretty awesome round here, and it's a pretty crazy ending, so I thought I would post it to my channel and show it to you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So here Boo's going to try to get some shots into the enemy tanks on the corner of that hill. They've committed actually a fair number of tanks to the south here, and actually our team has sent most of our tanks to the south as well. It's generally speaking, that's where the majority of the action happens, and I do think that the hill is probably the most important spot to control on this map. So we only have 2 tanks in the north. We was able to get a good shot into one of the T-57 heavies, but now FV-183 and T-124 are kind of getting in his way, and FV-183 decides to go completely out in the open and gets demolished pretty quickly by the tanks that are across the valley. There he gets taken out really quickly once he gets spotted. So Boo's trying to get a good shot onto that corner, but there's a dead tank in the way, and so the tanks over there actually have a fair amount of cover, and unfortunately that shot there misses the other T-57 heavy. So at this point we've just been trading tanks. When I was playing this, I was up on the hill at this point, and I thought that we were in pretty good shape, but the enemy actually does a pretty good job surrounding us on the hill and just slowly whittling down our damage. And so eventually I get taken out by a JgPz E-100 on the enemy team that I actually think was on the other side of the map, just looking up at the hill, kind of waiting for an opportunity to shoot. The JgPz E-100 is, it seems like a pretty awesome tank. It'd be a lot of fun to play. I don't actually own one, but it's got a ton of armor. It's a huge tank. It's got a massive profile, but it's got a great gun. Its average damage is 1050, so it's one of the few tanks, not including artillery, that has, well, actually only the JgPz E-100 and the FV-183 have guns that average over 1000 damage per shot. So Boo's trying to get some shots onto the tank destroyers that are over there. Unfortunately, that Foch is actually in a pretty good position, and he couldn't get a good shot. The Foch is actually their best player, so he's definitely a tank to look out for. I mean, the burst damage that tank can do as well, you always have to be careful. So Boo's kind of looking at the situation. He has a zoom up mod, which I don't have with my XVM, and he decides here to turn around and go and watch the middle. Their enemy Waffenträger has been spotted there, so he decides to turn around, and I'll fast forward this here. Is the JgPz E-100 is a pretty slow tank. So there you can see I get taken out in the hill, so we've lost control of the hill, and the enemy is starting to push up through the valley a little bit. We have a few tank destroyers that are trying to hold the line there, so Boo decides to just make sure that they don't get flanked really, and ends up getting a shot on this T-30 and takes him out, so trying to help the guys out in the north. I don't think the north is a very advantageous position to be in on this map. It's just really hard to move up and be aggressive, especially in a game where there's so many tank destroyers. And now that now that we've lost control of the hill, and the enemy can shoot from the hill all the way to the other side if they get spotted, so they're really not in a very good situation. So I think Boo's trying to get a light on the Waffenträger in front of him. He decides to move up here and get spotted almost immediately, which I'm not totally sure by what. I would guess it's the Waffenträger that's somewhere in front of him. But he decides to back up. He doesn't want to get caught out in the open, and this thing is slow and a pretty big target, so thankfully there's no artillery in this round, but he definitely wants to get back and get into cover as quickly as possible. And I'll just I'll fast forward this again. So now our team's down 2 tanks, and at this point I really thought the game was over. Now we're down 3 tanks. I was convinced that there was no way we could come back from this. As you can see, our Waffenträger and our Foch is about to get killed, and the E-100 in the north is by himself, so he's really not in good shape either. And the enemy team still has 4 tank destroyers that are all dangerous in their own right. You definitely don't want to have one of those shooting at you. So Boo's going to come around this corner and try to help out this Waffenträger who's very low health. And he makes a pretty ballsy move here, as I think he's trying to get to cover in this rock, and all 3 of the tanks there show up right around that corner. He bounces the Foch round and he takes out the Foch. That was a really important kill, as the Foch was the enemy team's best player. And the Waffenträger kills the T-62A that was trying to flank him. So pretty quickly they were able to take out 2 of those tanks. That situation actually worked out pretty well. Boo did take a shot from the enemy JgPz E-100, but he's still got half of his hit points left, although at this point the other JgPz E-100 could one-shot him if he gets a high roll. So there, Boo gets a good shot into the weak point, the little cupola on top of the JgPz E-100. I think a lot of people don't know about that weak spot. It's a really great target to aim for if you're close enough to the tank. There you can see Boo's trying to aim for that spot again, and I think the enemy JgPz E-100 figures out what's happening and tries to get behind cover behind the rock, but he exposes too much of his side, and Boo's able to take him out. So after taking that initial shot, he was actually able to put 2 shots into him without taking any more damage. So that that situation actually worked out really well. And now it's just a 2-on-3. There, the enemy Leopard pops up at really low health, and our Waffenträger kills him. Unfortunately, then the enemy Waffenträger comes around the corner and takes out our Waffenträger. So now it's a 1 versus 2 situation. Waffenträger doesn't spot Boo. He's got pretty good camo, and he puts a really good shot into him. And at this point, I was watching Boo as he was playing this, and I figured, or I expected that Waffenträger to try to attack Boo and get close enough to him so that he could shoot. You know, because Boo has a pretty long reload. This tank does have a long reload rate. But instead he backs off and gives Boo time to reload, and so Boo decides to press the issue and go after him. It's possible the Waffenträger was reloading, although I'd be surprised if he would have gone into that sort of engagement without having a full clip loaded. And he really just looks kind of helpless in this situation, as Boo's kind of side-scraping around the corner. He's not just giving him his lower plate to shoot and track him and get him caught out. And this Waffenträger just is trying to back up, but unfortunately Boo gets a good shot into his turret and takes him out. So now it's just 1v1. The enemy has just a single JgPz E-100 left. Actually, I think the JgPz E-100 that killed me earlier in the round. And now it's really just a judgment call of which way to go. We were talking about it in TeamSpeak, and Boo ended up deciding to go south, which I think is a good move, because it would be unlikely that the JgPz E-100 would go straight across the middle. There's just not a lot of cover, and it's easy to get bogged down in all the swampy terrain. So he decides to go south. There's about 4 or just under 5 minutes left, so there is time. He could get to the cab if he had to and didn't run into the JgPz E-100. But there he's going around the corner, and there he spots him. So it's a face-off to see who wins the game. And Boo actually has to put 2 shots into the enemy JgPz E-100 in order to kill him. Whereas with a high roll, the enemy JgPz E-100 could take him out with 1 shot. There, unfortunately, Boo bounces off his lower plate. More often than not, that shot would pen, but it was just kind of an RNG bounce. It was pretty unlucky. Fortunately, the enemy JgPz E-100 misses as well, though. Now Boo knows he could take a little extra time with this shot, and he's going to aim for the cupola on the JgPz E-100. And he puts in a really good shot there. So now he only needs to hit him once more. He's going to try to back up now, and this JgPz E-100 is trying to rush him and put a shot into Boo before he can reload. Now, as he comes around the corner, Boo can see he's trying to aim for his lower plate, so he puts his tank at a really sharp angle, and the JgPz E-100 bounces. Now he's aiming at first for the cupola, but for some reason the enemy JgPz E-100 backs up, and he has a clean shot at his lower plate and takes him out, so gets the kill and wins the game. So that was a pretty awesome end to the round. He and Boo and I were pretty excited when this one finished. I didn't think there was any way we were going to win this round, but he was able to pull it out with some good play against those enemy JPZ E-100s. Ends up with over 7,000 damage and just short of the Top Gun. He gets 5 kills, but a really solid round and a really exciting finish. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.